Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has announced he will leave Congress at the end of the year. He became the first speaker to be ousted by his own party just 2 months ago. McCarthy's announcement, along with other resignations and the expulsion of former Congressman George Santos, will impact the Republican slim majority in the House. And for more on this and what it means, we're joined by CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane. So, Scott, it's a majority, but a slim one at that. What does that mean? What are the effects of a slimming majority for the GOP in the House?
We have the potential for a perfect political storm here. The majority in the U.S. House is now almost invisibly small. When Kevin McCarthy leaves, Republicans can lose only 3 votes on anything and prevail. And they've got another Republican, Bill Johnson of Ohio, who's departing soon for a university job, which means they'd be able to lose just 2 votes. And this isn't just any old time to have a narrow margin. In January and in February, 2 deadlines to keep the government open and avoid another one of those shutdown standoffs. And in the meantime, there's billions of dollars in requests for Ukraine that's being tied up. So there are big votes, weight-bearing votes, impacting millions of people. And for the U.S. House majority without Kevin McCarthy, there's no longer a margin for error and no indication of what happens next, which is why it feels like you hear the thunder, you feel the wind, a perfect political storm is coming.
So nearly 40 other lawmakers in the House and the Senate are also not seeking re-election. Why are so many people leaving?
There's a number of reasons. Kevin McCarthy has a distinctive reason, of course. He's the first ever U.S. House Speaker to be ousted from his job, and it's not a big surprise he's walking away midterm. But for the others, the nearly 40 others who will leave at the end of 2024, there's a mix of reasons. Some are running for different offices. Some want to be a governor or an attorney general in their home states. Some want to call it a career, spend more time with the grandkids. But there's a subset of members, one of whom is Earl Blumenauer of Oregon, who's been here for 27 years, who told me he's leaving in part because of the toxicity, the chaos that has been transcendently part of this Congress, taking the joy or the ability to do things, to legislate, to make bipartisan coalitions. It's stealing some of the experience away, and that's a dynamic that can accelerate and lead to more retirements, more of a loss of institutional memory, and more open seats in competitive races in the 2024 elections.
Scott, we know in the Senate, every Republican voted against the advancement of the bill for Ukrainian aid. And Congress, obviously, this has been a huge point of contention. So in the mess that you're describing, the perfect storm that you described so poetically, what happens next with Ukraine and aid out of Congress?
This is a first step of a multi-step process. They knew this plan to fund Ukraine without adding any other language, any other proposals, wasn't going to fly. Republicans made that clear. So it's failed. Now they have to go back to the drawing boards. What Republicans are insisting before they approve all those pieces of funding is that the border needs money at the bottom also includes changes to border policy, new immigration law. They want that as a prerequisite before they vote to approve aid for Israel, Ukraine, and the others. Thing is about that, changing U.S. border law and immigration policy, that's not something that happens quickly around here. That's a process, a particularly polarized, contentious process. There's no indication they're anywhere close to fixing that by the end of the month. The senators are negotiating today, trying to find something that they can agree on. And if they do, if they pull a rabbit out of their hat, that's progress. But whatever they pull out of the hat is likely not going to fly over the U.S. House with that 3-seat majority, some more immigration hardliners, and less ability to come up with bipartisan coalitions. That Ukraine money, which the White House says they need by the end of the month, is in grave danger.
All right, Scott, thank you very much.